Hello everyone and welcome once again to the virtual desktop experience. I am your interim host this week. My name is James Webster.
I'm Tech. I'm in Death's Dynamic Shroud with James.
I'm Kevin. Equip.
I'm the same guy, Mark, R23X VHS stills.
So so thank you everyone for joining us this week. Obviously this is not Kevin, this is not Equip, although it is someone that I love probably at least as much as Kevin, if not maybe a little bit more just because I've known him longer.
Wow.
So
I'll take that.
Kevin's probably watching right now.
Fans of our Twitter sphere of influence have probably seen this guy Gus Stathis continue to pop up in our comments and in our mentions, and that's because Gus and us, we go all the way back to high school. He was in The Sailing, which was the band that Tech, Gus, and someone named Michael were all in way back in the day. So like Tech and I, Gus also bears. I can't figure out the angle.
I know it's really hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah, he bears the brand. So he's got that tat in the same spot. So Kevin couldn't join us this week, so we figured we'll fill that hole with one of our favorite friends, and we also thought it'd be fun to just kind of gang up on Mark. We're like,
oh, actually, one sec. I've got tater tots in the oven.
Just
one sec.
Just asking for it.
Yeah, that's get out of here.
How unlike him.
Yeah, wow, so this is it. So The Sailing, we finally have our own streaming show. It's been a decade in the making. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Big fans of The Sailing out there. But no, I kid. So props to Kevin, who put together this incredible interface here, which is the Amiga 3.1, I think, possibly to 3.5. I didn't make it, so I'm not an expert. Amiga, of course, famous for making the Commodore 64 sort of gaming console, but they also had the Amiga personal computers, which were really cool in the late 80s and early 90s. And this is the Amiga Workbench, which was their graphical user interface that laid on top of the system. So here, I think I actually have a little bat window here. Yeah. This is the Kickstart version. So I don't know why this goes to 1999. I don't know the history. If Kevin were here, he could speak more of it.
I do know a whole lot about Amiga, as I do most operating systems. It's sort of my thing on the stream. So just to give a little bit of background about Amiga, in 1999, the Amiga International, the man who started the company, Mr. International, he died that year, and so that's why it ended there. But all rights reserved.
Sure, yeah, thanks for that, Tech. Appreciate that insight, as always. And so a little later on, we are going to have a great... I'm sorry, the chat is demanding to see the tater tots. If we could get some tot-tion, some tot
fox.
Yeah. About to put some Frank's hot all over them.
So, yeah, I don't want to be like Paul Hollywood here, but just looking at that, I can tell that needed at least another minute in the oven. If not maybe 2, or do you like them soggy?
No, they're pretty crisp. I think it's just a lighting effect.
Oh, it looks like a soggy tot. But,
yeah, you can't have a soggy tot.
It's a hot tot.
So, yeah, so this Amiga is pretty cool because it went all through the 90s, so it did have a lot of internet functionality. So here we have everyone's chatting here in the Amiga Mail, which is great. And then we also, of course, have a web browser, and
no.
Lucky everyone, I'm in charge again. So it's Return of the Dwarfs. So we're looking at Biffer, who Peter Jackson decided, wouldn't it be cool if one of them had just an axe going stuck inside of their head? So this was a Peter Jackson thinks is cool kind of situation here. And they defend this in the Hobbit documentary, where he says that, yes, everyone, we started early, okay? I hit the button. It was 3 minutes early.
Old goofer up here. Old turkey taco goofer boy.
But, you know, I gotta say, maybe it was intentional to encourage people to show up a little bit early in the future. So, yes, we started about 3 minutes early, and we'll probably end 3 minutes early because of that.
What?
Anyway, so Biffer, he's got this axe lodged in his head, which Peter Jackson defends in the documentary, saying that there are many scientific cases of people that live life with things embedded in their head. And his idea is that the axe is in there, and because of that, he has some sort of head trauma in which he can only speak ancient Dwarvish. That's
wow.
it.
It's kind of like the one guy from Happy Gilmore with the nail in his head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same sort of situation. So we got our very secret special guest Gus here. So I just want to have some Gus history and interaction. And again, sorry not sorry, Mark. And we'll I don't know if you had friends in high school, but
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got some.
Your skankers, the skank,
Yeah,
skank squad.
I grew up and I moved on. I don't know.
No,
Wow.
that was.
That was not supposed to be a harsh burn. It was supposed to be like
Grew up.
No, I mean, so that started as like a harsh burn on Mark by me saying, I don't know if you had friends in high school. I don't know if anyone picked up on that. But a bit of a harsh burn. Anyway, so little backstory. Gus, Tech, and I all went to high school together in Dayton, Ohio. Which I have some pictures of Dayton, Ohio here for those who are not familiar with it. So this is Dayton, which is a mid-size city in southwestern Ohio, about 45 minutes north of Cincinnati.
It's larger than Akron, but smaller than Toledo, Columbus, Cleveland, Cincinnati.
But I would say definitely cooler than all of those cities. I would say that Dayton, there's something special about Dayton, Ohio. It's been the home of and birthplace of many great innovators and artists, including the Wright brothers, who invented the airplane. You might have heard of it. So powered flights, the modern principles of aerodynamics, satellites.
I found out
shuttles.
the Cheez-It. The snack Cheez-Its, I found out those are a Dayton original.
Wow.
That's really cool.
NCR,
the
soda can tabs, like
yeah,
the
soda can
concept
tabs.
of the zipper.
Invented in Dayton, Ohio. We were the center of engineering and innovation in the early 20th century. And I think that's pretty darn cool. Also, a lot of great artists came out of Dayton, Ohio. We have Martin Sheen, who played the president on The West Wing. We have the seminal indie rock band Guided by Voices. Kim Deal of the Breeders, also a Dayton
Dave
native.
Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle from...
Well, he's not native, though.
He's not from native.
He's not free, whatever. Everyone saw him here for a while, which was cool. Of course, myself. That was a joke, you know.
Nathan and Rayleigh's talking shit about Ohio, and I came on the stream wearing a shirt with text on it because he makes fun of me for not having it, and it's Northwest. It's literally where you live. I'm trying to rep you, and you're out here making fun of my hometown.
Yeah, so first off, no one should be talking shit about Ohio, because Ohio is no worse or better than any other place in this country, and believe me, I've been around. All right.
Well, that's because there's no such thing as being worse or better than anything.
Right.
Everything is just subjective.
Yeah.
Shout out to last episode for our discussion last episode.
I got a toilet. I got a toilet in the other room. It's just as good as you, motherfucker.
Well,
So-
I have my desk is literally covered in croc gibbets right now, and I'm not showing them off because I love and respect you.
Thank you.
And I know you hate crocs.
Crocs factory in Dayton, Ohio.
Really? Wait, really?
Yeah. It's
Really?
like-
That's amazing.
this is based off a conversation I had with an Uber driver like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
But-
we'll take that one with a grain of salt.
Well, you also have the car race, right? The Dayton 500.
Yep.
Well,
That's
Yep.
You have to ask Tech about that. That's more his neck of the woods these days. But you know, Dayton, Ohio, it was a small city, so you don't get all like the cool like city stuff when you're growing up, but you get a lot of. It's more than just suburbs at the very least. There was like a downtown to hang out in that did have some clubs. Like there was a really amazing music scene there when we were coming up. Honestly, like when Keith Rankin and his bands were coming up, and there was like this whole kind of community.
It was a moment for sure.
It was a moment.
that
Yeah.
like 2 to 3 year span of Squid's Eye was
Mhm.
incredible.
It was special. It was. So Dayton, Ohio, that's where we're all from. And of course we were in a band together, and I pulled up some photos from the archives here of us playing music.
Boy.
So here's a great picture of Gus. Let's
Aw.
just zoom in on that. So,
Look at that hair.
that's a very
Smash
interesting
bowl cut.
haircut. But I remember Gus the best when he had really, really, really long hair. So this is possibly the longest that Gus's hair ever got. Here we are.
No, it got longer than that during the. Well, no. Well, yeah. I don't know.
Here's a
Oh,
great picture of.
Do I have
of-
like anti-WK pants on in that photo? All like stained and gross.
So here is a great picture of me and Gus together. So, I mean, look at that. Look at
He's supposed
those.
Look at those boys.
Yeah, this was Gus's birthday. He was I think still is to this day, a Indianapolis Colts fan, traitor.
Wow.
But that's all good. And of course, for fans of Welcome to Dino Hour, I believe Tech was telling the Santa in the bathtub story.
It's
Which-
so good.
I forgot that we put a bra on it.
Yeah, there was
we
some.
found that bra in the basement.
Yeah.
So what is this? What is this?
Oh,
Mark, I
Mark,
can't believe you don't watch my stream all the way through. I'm just kidding.
it's the
it
Santa
was just-
Tech and I almost got arrested for.
Yeah, we just went into a vacant apartment that was actually our friend's, and then we found a Santa statue in the basement, put it in a bathtub, and then kind of put spray paint on the walls, and then we got in trouble.
A spray paint?
Yeah.
Well, we had to make a question mark on the bathroom door and some arrows that pointed at it, so that when the maintenance workers found it, they would be like, "What's in there?"
And there's just
Um,
LOL.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is water in the tub. The chat is noticing, and that was a nice touch. So I
Mhm.
came and took some pictures, and then I got out of there. I was like,
That's what I forgot about that.
Yeah,
That-
me
because
too.
when I saw these pictures, I was like, "Who the fuck took?" I was like, "Oh, I guess James did," but I completely forgot that you were there.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
we had to show our handiwork to somebody. I'm glad you got to see it.
yeah, and I let me, because I got the whole. Well, I can't dig through all this right now. But yeah, I had the whole kit and caboodle going on there. Here's another great band photo of us.
No.
Aww.
So there's Gus, just happy as can be.
This is what we did on the regular. We just went out and found something to do this with.
There's Tech with his
Yeah.
cloud hair, just so
Yeah.
cute.
My cloud hair.
And then look at me, I'm wearing a La Tigre shirt. My hair was starting to thin, but I was still kind of like pulling it down from the back and front in just absolute denial, because as you can see, I had long hair, so that was a rough road for me to walk. But the cooler thing about this picture is that this is a memorial to the cash register, which was also invented in Dayton, Ohio. So before NCR got out of Dodge.
Yeah.
NCR strong, baby.
So anyway, yeah, here's another pic of us. This is the three of us here hanging
Ooh,
out.
Zoom in on that beanie I'm wearing.
Oh yes.
Look at that Skyline Chili branded beanie doing some brand ambassadoring.
Whoa.
So as normal, you can see that I'm overshadowing Tech here, and I'm just glowing so brightly that his face is just consumed in my brilliance.
Wow.
So Gus is coming to us today from a very special location, which is his bar. So
Hey.
yeah, it's like we all have our own little, like the bands. We all, like Tech and I moved to Philadelphia. everyone kind of went their separate ways. We got back together in, what was that, 2013? And we had one final show on New Year's Eve.
Wait, no, it would have been 2014.
Into 2015, yeah.
Oh, was
So
it?
there were 2 final shows.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
the final one was in 14 into 15.
Yeah.
Okay. And so Gus ended up buying a house in Dayton, and then he bought, with his wife, a bar. So it's the best bar in all of Dayton, Ohio, and I can say that
It really is.
with knowledge
Like-
of being in all the bars in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
There's definitely no, like, fuck Blind Bob's. God, I'd rather die than step foot in fucking Blind Bob's
Oh,
ever
that's
again.
so mean. Blind Bobs are really good people. And
they're-
their pickle
hey,
soup
I'm sure
is
they're great.
fantastic.
They're great. Just wonderful people, but I don't want to fucking go there. You know, the chairs were uncomfortable, the stage was in a weird place, the sound was iffy at best, whatever.
Food is overpriced.
Food is overpriced. Doesn't matter. Gus's bar is called the Barrel House. And Gus is actually, in many ways, more famous than we are. Because Gus was an absolute viral sensation. So Gus, would you like to talk a little bit about your internet fame?
Sure, yeah. So Wednesdays are like a notoriously terrible night in the service industry. And I remember leaving work one night, like all super defeated because like it was another shitty day. And I called my wife. I remember I was filling up gas at the shitty speedway by my house. And I was listening to Wu-Tang Clan in the car. And I just called her. I'm like, can we do Wu-Tang Wednesday? Just play nothing but hip hop and on Wednesdays, and it's better than nothing. And like, I'm stuck there. It'll be fun. And she said like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Why not? But just make sure that there's like a sign or something noting that, because like we're previously like a fairly as family friendly as a bar can be, right? Like we've got games for kids and stuff like that. So when you have fucking Wu-Tang Clan and Tribe Called Quest and all this like early 90s hip hop playing, it might be not something you want to bring a child into. So I typed up this little image and plastered it on our front door, and somebody took a photo of it, and it just went absolutely viral.
Yeah.
You're not looking at our actual website right now, are you? Because that's the biggest piece of shit.
Oh no, I'm scrolling
Wait,
through your
why-
Instagram trying to find a picture of it here. There's a lot of
Dude, just Google Wu-Tang Wednesday.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like
Okay.
it got reposted by so many fucking like it was like on the front page of Reddit multiple times.
The RZA retweeted it.
Yeah,
Like the
like-
originator of the Wu-Tang Clan retweeted it.
which is really cool. Gus has been touched by the RZA, which is not something that I can say has happened to me. So here we go. And then it was funny because a bunch of other bars across the country started copying you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Imitation
there's-
is the most sincere form of apology.
There it is.
Right. There it is.
Yes, this is
That's
the
my boy.
fitness.
Dear parents and prudes. Oh, you want it? I was gonna read it.
No,
but-
please.
We will be playing unedited hip-hop all day today for Wu-Tang Wednesday. Due to the nature of the music, there may be language which may offend you or your kids. Unless, of course, you take parenting advice from Old Dirty Bastard, in which case, Wu-Tang is for the children. And has anybody ever posted this without your address at the bottom, like pretending it's theirs?
Yeah, so if not pretending it's theirs, people have completely obliterated our logo and put their own on there and just like straight up stolen it.
Wow.
Multiple times. And every
Mm.
time, like, I have very little self-control when it comes to people on the internet, so every
Yeah.
time I like message the owners, I'm like, hey.
So that's our good friend Gus, and so it's still going on, right? You still do it, or what's the situation in Dayton? What's the word from the ground in Dayton, Ohio, in this in 2020?
So I mean, it sucks, right? Like Dayton had a really shitty 2019, right? We had the mass shooting like
Oh, that's right.
in the Oregon district, which was super not cool.
like central downtown Dayton, yeah.
Yeah, like the street that, like, for any listeners, like this is the arts district that like the sailing played at regularly. Like that's where we got our footing in music or whatever. It's like just like the cultural hub of downtown. But either after or slightly before that, we got whacked with a bunch of tornadoes and shit, and like it just sucked.
Yeah.
He's our DJ for Wu-Tang Wednesday, one of the jolliest fellows I've ever met. But anyway, so as far as 2020 is concerned, it sucks just like it sucks everywhere else. What's cool is Dayton just last weekend started this thing called DORA, Designated Outdoor Recreation Area. Basically on 5th Street and a few streets outside of there, you can walk into a bar, get a beer, take it outside and walk around in like an open air environment.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So that way, it's helping out the businesses while maintaining at least the idea that you can properly social distance.
Right.
Whether or not people follow that after they're getting shit-faced, who knows? But unfortunately, we are exactly one block outside of that zone, so we're operating right now just as a carry-out. You can get a six-pack to go, get a growler, get a howler, but we're not letting anybody drink inside. We legally could, but the space is so small that in order to safely, it would be not worth it, and half of our employees are immunocompromised, right? So I'm not gonna risk that just to.
And what a selection you have! So yeah, if any of you are ever in Dayton, Ohio, be sure to stop by the Barrel House. Say hi to Gus if he's there, and be like, "Hey, I saw you on TV," and that'll be great. All right, so Gus, we'll be invoicing you for this promotion for the Barrel House in Dayton, Ohio.
Thank you.
But yeah. So yeah, now everyone's caught up. You know as much about Gus as we do. So welcome. You're all our best friends now. So yes, we did start a little bit early, but after we're done sort of talking here for a little bit, we're going to jump right into an interview with Hitachtronics from the new Masterpiece label, which is a pretty awesome interview, and I think everyone should get really excited for it, because we ended up really going deep this time and really going in on a lot of we just started talking about like nerd culture and how it's evolved.
Yeah, he had a lot of keen insight. His answers were really were like super interesting.
Yeah. And it's funny because it sounds like 1997 just was the year that it became okay to be into nerdy shit in both Japan and America. So you'll definitely want to watch that for more information. So poor Mark, I feel bad because we've just been pummeling you with our cuteness. Yeah. So
no, it's good. I like it. I'm learning about Gus and the Barrel House too. It's cool.
So yeah. What have you been up to, Mark? What's your life like right now?
Well, I've been getting outside a lot. Like I went on a bike camping trip this weekend, and I camped on the beach.
Ooh, that sounds amazing.
Can you you want to text me some pictures?
It would just go to my Instagram, I guess. My mark.junker Instagram.
Oh, sure.
I just did a post about it, so I could. There's like a few pictures in one post, and
oh, perfect.
The latest one. So, yeah, I on the coast here we have an area called the Sunshine Coast, and it's just north of Vancouver, and I biked up there. It was like 77 kilometers.
God.
And
this is life in Canada, folks. Molo.
Hey, Molo.
Molo. Molo, thank you so much. Those are still black and white from last week. Whoops.
Sending love for Kevin and the Neo Gaia fam.
Yeah, much love to Kevin. I know I was talking shit, but it was all in good jest. I love Kevin, and I miss him every second that I'm not with him. In general, in my life, we love you more than life itself. Just take me away. It's not worth it. I love you, Kevin. Anyway, getting back to life in Canada. So you were out here in Paradise.
Yeah, it's there's an island. You can get there from like local water taxi, and it's called Thormanby Island, and camp on the beach. It's free camping. Just no, like it's if you don't get, if you're not causing a ruckus, you won't get in trouble. So yeah, I've been exploring the islands. I mean, I grew up on Vancouver Island, so just sort of love the Gulf Islands and get out every chance I can.
I saw the picture that you posted today. Like I saw it like 40 seconds after you posted it. So I didn't like it because I didn't want you to think I was desperate.
Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't seen this yet, but I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna like this on the air, folks.
Thank you.
You saw it
my personal account is activated as a business account for some reason, so the more likes I get and comments, the algorithm will allow my posts to get more, and then maybe I can monetize it or something.
I'm doing it right now.
Oh, speaking of live, laugh, love, I was just joking about the monetizing.
Oh, why did you? God damn it, Mark.
So it's my birthday. It's my birthday tomorrow.
Oh my god!
And that shirt. This is rare for me to reveal what's printing on the Yeti before it prints. But tonight at midnight, that will be available to purchase as a shirt for 24 hours on the Yeti.com. And it's my birthday, so I'm printing a shirt that says "Live, Love, Love" in the Matrix font. That's just how I celebrate turning 34 years old. So
your birthday was on the release date of Final Fantasy VIII and Sega Dreamcast.
Yes.
All right, tech.
What?
Let's not go there, okay? Let's not go there.
It's a subtle, yeah.
No, because games with pre-rendered backgrounds, that was the future, man. Like that's where the industry was heading. So.
You know what else was on 99.99? The 1999 Video Music Awards on MTV.
Okay.
Well, I think
Nine Inch Nails performed that night. They performed "The Fragile" from "The Fragile."
That's pretty dope.
I'm gonna go ahead and pause this really great HCMJ song real quick, and I think that we should all sing "Happy Birthday" to Mark. And if you're watching at home, I want you to sing along too. Okay, so this is interactive television here. If it's on the TV, so on the count of 3. We're gonna start singing, all right? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mark. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Yay! Congratulations!
Happy birthday, Mark!
We're really
Thanks,
happy
guys.
for you. One step closer to life.
The edge. He's
And I'm about to break.
There it is.
Oh man. So anyway,
That was the best birthday party of my entire 30s.
oh,
Yeah, I don't know if anyone has ever tried to sing along with another person while on a Skype call, but it's completely impossible.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a little bit of a delay.
Yeah.
It's like when Tech trolls me when I start talking, and then he starts talking like a little more slowly than me. I can't fucking deal with it. I went to a science museum. It might have been COSI. It's for you Ohio fans out there. And they had a thing where you put on noise-canceling headphones, and you were speaking to a microphone, and it played it back on like a 2-second delay, just so you could realize that you weren't capable of doing that. So
Weird. Yeah. Oh, well, 24. Yeah, I was going to say our ratings are a little bit down with Gus instead of Kevin, so.
I know, guys. I'm so sorry.
well,
I should have worn a horn.
well, it's great too because Gus, unlike a lot of our so-called friends, actually watches the show, which is something that we really appreciate. But honestly, I mean, so I haven't had a chance to get back to Dayton this year, which has been brutal for me because I love my family and I love seeing my family, and haven't been able to. And that also means I haven't been able to see Gus. And that's really, really sad.
This is honestly probably the most social interaction I've had, like outside of the 1 day a week I come to work since like COVID really happened, because we have been like hunkering down, self-quarantining. So this is a treat for me, guys.
Aww.
No.
Happy birthday.
Gus, when did you get married? Because I think that was the last time you, me, and Tech were actually together in the same room, right?
Yeah. September 30th, 2018.
So I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. If the
That's
missus
good though.
is
You passed.
watching.
You passed the test.
I got it.
Let's see here.
Yeah, so yeah, man, going on 2 years since I've seen little Jaybird and T-Boz in person. Oh wait, no, Tech came to Dayton to visit. What, last year was that?
Yeah, because we had a nice lunch together.
We did. It was lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry. You gave me the date and then I totally spaced. What was that?
September 18th.
September 30th, 2018.
That's what I said.
2018. Thank you. All right, there's November. Went to Japan. Oh.
Yeah, find those pics. I looked good as hell that day.
You did. We both looked pretty good that day.
Yeah, that's
Fresh
true.
as fuck. You guys were fresh as shit.
Yeah.
And then we had a little photo adventure around Dayton together.
You boys were dripping.
We had with that drip. There was those baseball pics. Took a couple of baseball boys.
Are you sure it was 2018?
Yeah.
I guess you know, right?
It was September 18th.
I really hope I'm right. My wife might be watching right now. I'm not sure, but
September. I was in Korea. All right, hold on. That was September. Okay, then that was Shofuso. And then.
Come on.
Are you just looking through your own Instagram right now?
No, I'm looking through my photos. Oh no, here I am. Yeah, here I am in Dayton. Okay, here we go. Pictures from the wedding. All right, there's me.
This is the content everyone's tuning in. Wedding pictures.
where the fuck is Kevin?
Yeah, we should have just played it straight and just said you were Kevin the entire time, but that's okay.
Yeah. All right, here's the picture. Here's the one. Yeah, this is the pick to end all picks. One of my favorite Death Dynamic Shroud pictures here. There are those boys. And we're out here at, so this is it's not Fifth Third Field anymore, is it still?
No, it's not. I can't tell you what it is now. It's some other corporate entity field.
Great, probably like, what's that hilarious one that's like loans, like True First Loans Arena or something? I don't know. Anyway, we have a great, minor league baseball team in Dayton called the Dragons, and Tech and I went out there and we're just hanging out on some balls, having a good time.
Like you do. What's kind of funny is that James and I pay a little bit more attention to our branding presence as far as Death Dynamic Shroud is concerned, as opposed to when we were in the sailing, when we played very dramatic theatrical rock music, but we could not take it seriously at all, and so every single picture we ever took just looked like this. So I don't know if there's like a pic. Is that picture of where we were in the newspaper in the Dayton?
Yeah. The promo photo where we all got real saucy.
Yeah, it's like you guys are. I can't. I don't know how to find that. Oh wait, no.
Okay.
I think my dad. I don't know. I can't find it.
It's
out there.
It's nope.
You can find it.
Hold up.
You
Gus,
can text the link if you find it.
Yeah, just text it to me and then I'll post it.
Do you guys have Do you guys have any CDs or anything? Or I haven't heard your music.
There is one, the Sailing album, on the Ghost Diamond Bandcamp. The album
Really?
came out in 2015. The release date was like New Year's Eve or whatever, 2014.
Okay.
But it's called the Anniversary of Spears.
The CD is long since sold out.
Okay.
But this
I feel kind of
was
bad for not listening.
This was the era of early Death Dynamic Shroud. As you can see, I made this album cover here,
Nice.
and it's like I'm full New World at this point. There's like no looking back.
That logo is my arm with a IV stuck in it.
Yeah.
from when I was in
This
the
is
hospital.
Gus's blood, wrapped up with his blood Gus juice underneath it, which is kind
Damn.
of fun. combined with the lines from the hashtag New World album cover. I just copied and pasted them and changed what they were. But yeah, this album was basically like we all knew that we were leaving. Kirkland was going to like North Carolina or something. Tech and I were moving to Philadelphia. Tech actually stole my idea about moving to Philadelphia and then moved there before me. And so we kind of like it's like editorializing history.
I wanted to move to Chicago, but
I know we all
her.
did, but yeah, whatever. So
Yeah.
we were like, well, we need to like record these songs like while we can still play them, and we've been getting together like 2 to 3 times a week to like be in this band because they're gonna be gone forever. And I'm so glad we did, because like I can't play the game. I no longer have like the dexterity. Like I'm not the guitarist that I used to be, and I certainly don't remember how to do it properly. So
the
this
best
was
song on there is Ghost Train. So if anybody feels like listening to that, go listen to Ghost Train.
Ghost Train is fucking tight.
and the
That's my
skull you rode in on is my personal favorite. We couldn't come up with a name for that song, and I was like, guys, how about "And the Skull You Rode In On"? And they were like, what?
Really, yeah.
And I'm like, well, you come up with a better name then, you know? And then nobody could, and so that ended up actually being the name of the song. And the
James,
skull.
I just sent you a text.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Gus.
The point that I was trying to make earlier is that whenever we would take promo photos as the Sailing, it never made any sense to anyone because our music is so heavy-handed and dramatic. And they asked us for a photo for the newspaper, and this is what we sent them.
Yeah.
That was printed in like the Sunday edition or like.
Yeah, this was in like the like it was the Go section. It was like the Friday full color like insert in the Dayton Daily News, which is like it's a big publication. Dayton is like a fairly large city if you include all the suburbs, and like everyone subscribes to it in the city.
Everyone fucking saw this stupid ass.
They printed that.
They
like
did.
Lord Emperor Kirk.
Mike on the background with all the
So
fucking vapes.
monolithic and gorgeous.
Yeah, so it's like we did this real kind of over the top operatic. It was kind of Muse-esque, but unlike Muse, we didn't take ourselves so seriously that it's like a joke, and we didn't sing about fucking the surveillance state and shit. We sung about like dragons and skulls and things like that, and it was all kind of tongue in cheek, but also kind of not. Like we were serious about the music, and everything else we didn't care about. You know,
It was just fun. Like it was fun and loud, and like we played hard as fuck. Like we were a very loud rock band.
If I recall correctly, we ended up. You would break your drumsticks so frequently that you started buying the. It made more financial sense to buy the heaviest sticks possible, and then just end up breaking the snare heads and replacing those instead, because you broke sticks so regularly that we were spending more on sticks than anything else. That was we played extremely hard and didn't use earplugs very often, and probably suffered the consequences from it.
Yeah, we were some pretty fun boys back in the day. I just saw this picture in my photos too. You remember the night that we set Gus's street on fire?
Oh man!
Oh shit!
Yeah, so Gus
how did we not go to jail during that?
I don't
have no idea.
know, because like
It
was like a suburban, like a nice neighborhood, like just like middle class, like nice suburbs, and one night we just poured a bunch of fucking gasoline in the street and just ignited it.
Good God.
Like,
I mean, we
we
were
were open, gas canister, slowly driving, alright, light it, and then
And we just
watch it
drove
for 2
away.
seconds and then fuck off.
Yeah. So we were like, oh god, we gotta go. We just lit the street on fire.
But yeah, I mean, we were like 22, like
Way too old to be doing that.
A little bit old, but that's okay.
it's okay.
I mean, that looks like an album cover to me.
Yeah, I mean, it does kind of look like a bit like a Fire Dragon kind of situation.
Put a bit of text in the top left corner. That's a great album cover, honestly.
Yeah, we would also.
Do you have the art for the album that never actually got released.
The Infinity Gate?
Yeah.
Oh,
We
I-
saw,
I have all
do
that.
you remember how much time we spent on that
yeah.
entire batch of artwork? It was like a full year,
Yeah,
and
so,
nobody's ever heard the fucking record.
No, we never released it.
well, we might maybe for fun someday.
Yeah.
Just cause. Oh, this is like.
There is after the Pulse shooting in Orlando, it sort of rendered. We have a song on that album that was titled "Disco Massacre," and it sort of made any time I think about that, I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, it'd be really bad.
Yeah. It's kind of like the "Walking on Sunshine" song by Katrina and the Waves. They didn't really think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can't see the future.
Nope.
And in that song, there was some lightsaber action.
Yeah,
there.
I think it was more about Jedi, right?
Yeah, we were into Star Wars too.
A lot to take in here.
Mark has canceled all of us. He's done. He's just not going to show up in the call next week and be like, "Where's Mark? Wait, where's
I
Kevin?"
can't be associated with you guys.
Is this another album cover?
No, this was us blowing up a vacuum in Gus's backyard.
Was this part of your band? Is this like, were you like a performance art band where you like blew stuff up as well?
No, we were just fucking stupid kids.
Young idiots with.
Yeah.
I was trying to give you some foothold there to.
No,
recover,
yeah,
but
no, I
I-
appreciate it.
That's very sweet. But we just had more free time and I don't even know how much time we actually spent practicing music at band practice. Right? Like it was just.
Certainly not enough. But you know, it's the memories you make along the way are the friendships you preserve.
Do you remember when we got caught playing with boxes outside of that Dayton basement rental space?
Wait,
Playing with
what?
boxes?
We got caught playing.
Oh,
with boxes?
at BHA.
Underneath BHA, and
Yeah.
we found these gigantic boxes, and we were just playing with them as 24, 25-year-olds, and some dudes came up and tried to sell us beef jerky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was a very sort of Dayton. Here, I found the album cover. I can share this here.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so we were working on this masterpiece called The Infinity Gate. And back in those days, we didn't believe in sampling anything. Everything had to be original. Everything had to be done from scratch. And so we put together, and by we, I mean Gus and I, basically, put together this album cover where you see this castle and there's a dragon here and there are all these mountains in this landscape, but this was actually all just sewn together in Photoshop from photographs that we had taken of, these are just rocks.
Even the space, the sky is actually just water, right?
Yeah,
And
the
colored.
stars are made out of water with sunlight on them, and I just messed with it in Photoshop until it looked like stars. The dragon, we took a really fun trip to the zoo one day, where we found, those were bat wings, where we took a picture of a bat and a snake skeleton for the horns of the dragon, and it's all just assembled. And these are all tombstones and mausoleums that we built this castle out of. But yeah, the Infinity Gate and accompanying booklet were just really, God, we just didn't stop working on it. Really, not for our future, for love of art. Really, it was just because it was fun to get.
We recorded
together.
that album. We recorded it 3 times.
Oh my God.
Because we recorded the whole thing, then we learned how to record a little bit better, so we were like, let's just do it again. And then I think there was the great mistake happened, so then we went to West Virginia and
I
recorded
knew
it.
that was gonna come up.
Well,
why don't
hey,
you
look,
tell- Why don't you tell them the story of the great mistake, Gus?
I'm gonna go get a beer. You guys can
Yeah, Gus liked me until you said that.
Yeah.
So, just
The
long
great
story
mistake.
short, once Gus was installing a new version of Mac OS X, and he had a question about something, and I told him to check something, and it was the wrong thing to check, and it was my fault, and I take full responsibility. I fucked up, and because it erased his entire hard drive, and on that hard drive were just all of I don't even know how many recordings that we had made together that did not exist outside of that hard drive, because one of the things that we did instead of practicing and instead of working on music like we should have been was thank you.
Hey,
I
music. Thank you.
$1 for the great mistake.
$1 for the great mistake.
Yeah, so we it was definitely like we lost a good chunk of our early 20s, and it's my fault. And
I did find kind of a greatest hits CD of early recordings that we had done.
Was it Many Moons?
No, it predates Many Moons.
Wow.
predates many
Yeah,
moons.
it was. I made one copy of it, and I just intended to like leave it at Gem City Records at the time, and just I wanted somebody to find it, not know what it is, press play, and be like, "What the fuck is going on right now?" But I never did. But it's got, you know, the Frozen Poets tracks on it. It's got Monotone Rottweiler, some Lord Morbid and the Mortuary of Time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gus and I had a side project called Monotone Rottweiler. Smug Duck, thank you very much.
With double hedge gift tonight. That's pretty amazing.
But Monotone Rottweiler was a sort of like a children's music themed
Kindercore.
We had Kindercore. That is what we called it. We had a song about scrubbing bubbles, and I completely forgot about it until the other day. But it had a really great lyric that's like, "Here, Gus, I think we can sing it, but not in unison." It was like, "I will be the broom man,
and I will hold the dustpan,
and we can make this floor sparkle again."
Windex. Yeah.
Pine Sol, Clorox. Oh yeah, Drano, Comet, no Stanos or vomit. Yeah. Oh, when this place gets too cluttered, we can take care of it, brother. There's no surface that we can't shine
again.
Yeah. Genius. We had a song about all the colors.
All of them.
Yeah. Red, blue, orange, yellow, green, purple, brown. Yeah, there was all kinds of stuff.
So I regularly eat at a Hasty Tasty Pancake House now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that place is fucking amazing.
Yeah, we had a song about shitty pancake, I can't remember. Anyway.
So this here is a picture of the basement that I lived in my early 20s when we were recording the Infinity Gate. And so here is what our band practice was like. So here we have a young tech from behind pouring his soul out on this keyboard, and it looks like
Dracula.
what are we recording in, like Logic 7 probably at this point?
Yeah.
And then over here we had this other computer. Oh, we got the white stripes sitting there.
Wow.
We have white blood cells, and we have an ashtray because we just smoke everywhere. Back in those days, we didn't even care. Like it was the 60s. I had a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon stand-up, and you can see the edge of over here, because I worked at a GameStop at the time. It was pretty exciting. And I also found pics from our trip to the zoo. So here's Tech.
Look at those pants. Look at those wide pants.
Yeah, those are some pants, but that's a cool shirt though. I survived the Great Wall.
I still have that shirt, but it's all torn around the collar, so I can't wear it in public.
Well, maybe you should.
Do you have a minor goatee going on, or like?
Oh, I always had a minor goatee, and by that I mean I had a goatee that only a minor could grow.
Oh man, I miss you guys. I also found one of my favorite pictures of Gus of all time. I think, like, wow.
Aww.
You know, give that one to Grandma. Have her hang that up in the living room. I mean, that's
so
it.
awesome.
That was the spirit, and is the spirit of Gus. I feel.
So how many albums did you guys make?
With the lineup, with Gus in the band, we technically made 3 albums. One was under the name Fatum, Fatum, with a circumflex over the A. That was like what we were called in the beginning, and then we changed the name to The Sailing. And the first album was called When It Comes We Will Be Waiting, and it was actually pretty it's pretty remarkable for a bunch of 17-year-olds.
Teenagers. We were teenagers.
Yeah.
And it
With, like,
opens with like a
absolutely-
10-minute ambient track. You know? Like, it was cool. And this was like 2003. People weren't doing that. You know.
Yeah, it was very ahead of its time.
Yeah.
The
but
closing
also-
track featured fire from Warcraft 2, just like
Oh,
the
yeah.
sound of the
Oh,
fire
wow.
bits.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
interesting.
But then we made the Infinity Gate, which never saw release, and then we made Anniversary Spears and released it just for posterity.
Yeah.
But
And there were a few EPs along the way too.
there were a few EPs.
Fatum is not coming back, but
Fatum is
Tekken.
Oh no, actually, you know what? There is a Fatum Bandcamp.
Of
There
our
really is.
music.
It has the Fatum EP and Diving Board on the Event Horizon on it.
Damn.
That
See
exists.
if you can pull that up real quick.
So while he's doing that, I found out one of my regulars here at the bar is an Organic the Sailing fan. Like, went to the Down Choppers release party at Elbows, and like,
Oh.
I had never known
Here,
this person
got this.
before. Like, coming into the bar, he's like, "You were into sailing, weren't you?" I'm like, "That's a weird question. Who the fuck?"
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, hey guys, what did I always say? If we could just reach one person, then it was all worthwhile. That was like my saying back then. So
James, just look for like Fatum when it comes to We'll Be Waiting. or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
I'll be right back. I am gonna get a beer.
Yeah.
See if anything
Oh,
comes
there it
up.
is. Fade.
There it is.
What?
Yeah.
Did Steve put this together? Because that's
No,
the
I
Fish
did.
Wombat. You did
yeah,
this.
I put this together.
Oh man. You
If
really
anybody
want this to be
accesses
public?
this, yeah, I talked to him about it at one point. Fatum EP and Diving Board on the Event Horizon they do not have Gus. They have a different drummer and a totally different lead singer.
It's all. I mean, this was like our 15, 16. You know, we didn't. There were no computers back then, so it's all on a 4-track. You know.
Yeah,
Computers.
Diving Board on the Event Horizon has James on it. Well, you're on Fatum EP too, aren't you?
I am.
Okay, but there are like more James songs on this one, and then remember somebody made fun of us for using that font. They were like, "It looks like fucking Meatloaf."
Oh yeah.
Like, whatever.
But this was a
That
picture of
covers
my
down.
lava lamp.
Yeah, there's a
which
lot
is
of
pretty
some
cool.
aquarium shots in there.
Mhm.
You should
And-
just
but-
re-release all this music with pictures of dwarfs from the Hobbit movies.
But this was one of the first Photoshop collages I ever did. So Gus took this picture of the airplane lying on his back. An airplane flew over his head, and he just took a picture with a digital camera, or a real camera, actually, right?
Yeah, it was analog.
Analog
DSLR,
camera.
baby. Or no, SLR. Pop, pop.
Ah, nice. And then these. I mean, this is honestly looking at this now. This is like the Derelict Mega Tower, album cover. It's like the same process.
That's true.
Not really a whole lot different in that album cover. But there were some pictures that I had taken, other pictures I just pulled off the internet or whatever, and then of course NASA. But yeah, this is where. That's why our
Yeah.
logo was a plane and a sun.
Yeah.
Was because of When It Comes You Will Be Waiting was about this ridiculous story where we cannot get into the mythos of the sailing. That's a
Doesn't
whole
matter.
other podcast, and we're kind of out
Yeah.
of time anyway.
Yeah.
But,
But the point is, if you do listen to that, just bear in mind, we were in high school. The lyrics aren't always there, but it is pretty impressive for 2000, recorded in 2002, and no internet stuff or anything like that. So,
yeah, this was before even Logic. We had to use Digital Performer 3
Wow.
and 4. to
Well, the Crystal
record.
Method uses it.
yeah, that was our we were like, it's the same software the Crystal Method used. As if they were some huge band that everyone cared about.
They were- But yeah, definitely check out Forgetting the Endless Stare, which I recorded on a Casio, a big Casio keyboard that had multi-tracking on the keyboard. And it was my first attempt, one of my first attempts at recording electronic ambient music, and it was all done in keyboard. But the end of it features a beautiful piano ballad where my teenage self is just singing about how no girl is ever gonna love me, basically.
There's a very sweet memory I have of James finishing recording that onto his Casio keyboard, and then he called me on the phone, and then he's like, I gotta play you this song I made on the Casio. It's an ambient song, and then he just played this 11-minute ambient song that he recorded on his keyboard through the landline phone.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And I just listened to it all the way through, and I was like into it the whole time because we were best friends forever.
Oh, and we still are. So, again, I'd like to thank you, Gus, so much for joining us, like, kind of last minute. But it's been
thanks for having me.
much fun hanging out with you and reminiscing. And we should give Mark and Kevin a chance to get their old, if they have an old friend that they still like, get them on the show too or something. just sort of make it, fair and balanced. But yeah, if you're ever in Dayton, stop by the Barrel House, and Gus can tell you all sorts of embarrassing stories about us.
Like what HCMJ actually stands for.
All right. Well, we're out of time. Just calm down. That has never been made public, and it doesn't mean anything, and it's all good. Mm-hmm. So with that, we're going to switch over. Kevin is going to rejoin the stream, and we're going to jump right into this exclusive interview with Hitachtronics right now. All right, everyone. So we'd like to welcome a very, 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 very special guest to the Virtual Desktop Experience today. We have Hitachtronics coming all the way from Tokyo, Japan. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hitachtronics, of course, is the label head of the New Masterpiece label. A big friend of Neo Gaia. There would be no Neo Gaia without him. He helped to set up a lot of those shows in the Tokyo area. For both Neo Gaia Phantasy tours, we would be nowhere without him. We're very happy to have him here. And of course, as always, translating, we have Josh Stefane of Muzan Editions, aka Endurance, an awesome artist, friend of the show, and Neo Gaia tour booker as well. Thank you both for joining us today.
ありがとうございました。日立さん、よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
All right, let's do this.
Let's start by talking about the New Masterpiece label. When did that get started, and what were some of your initial motivations and inspirations?
じゃあまずそのニューマスターピースについてちょっと聞きたいのですが、そもそもどうやって始まったのか、そして何がそのインスピレーションとなったのか。ということについてちょっと、伺いしたいのでよろしくお願いします。
ですね、僕は、多分ベーパーウェブを今やってる世代よりもちょっと上なんですね、年が。で、テクノにショックを受けて、90年代のテクノにショックを受けてて、ちょうど、その頃ジャンル関係なしにゴアダムス、コーネリアス、ピチカード5とか、そういった、ケンイシとか、そういった日本人が海外にバーッとこう、海外のいろんなレベルからデビューした時期があって、はい、で、それに結構刺激を受けて、ちょっと興味が、音楽に興味が出てきて、ちょっとアンダーグラウンドなの。音楽に興味が出て、で、やっていくうちにいろんな人と会うようになって、その中で、ウッドマンという人がいるんですけど、この人は説明がすごくしにくいんですけど、ですね、簡単に言うと、フードマン、食品祭りさんの名前の、元ネタになってる人。
ムードマンですね。
ムードマンは別にいて、ムードマン、ウッドマン、フードマンっていう感じです。
了解です。
そんな真ん中のウッドマンって人、はい。
了解です。ムードマンではないですね。
ムードマンではいない。
はい、
で、ウッドマンもムードマンから影響を受けて、その名前にしてる。
ほうほうほう。
すごくややこしいんですけど。
なるほど。
それが一番多分みんなに分かりやすいと思うんですね。で、彼と仲良くなって、で、ちょっといろいろなんか話したり遊んだりしてるうちに、彼がいっぱいとにかく曲を作る人だったんですけど、なんていうのかな、結構気難しい性格で、なかなか作品を出さないんですよ。 いっぱい作るのに。なんで、じゃあ、まあ、ちょっとなんとか出していこうかっていう、なんか彼の曲を出していこうかって、ライブ音源とかいっぱい貯めてたんで、出しましょうよっつって、始めたんですね。で、僕はイラストを描いていたんで、で、デザインもちょっとちゃんと、職業としてもちょっとデザイナーの勉強し始めた頃だったんで、ちょうどジャケのことならできるということで、それで、まあ、少しずつその友達とかを誘ってレーベルをやり始めた。
はい。ありがとうございます。So I think I'm a little bit older than a lot of the younger generation that listens to Vaporwave now in Japan. And I
Us
kind
too.
of got my big... 彼らもちょっとだいぶ年上なんで。And so when I got into electronic music, it was mainly through techno. And so I was listening to that first. And, you know, through that kind of entrance way into electronic music, I started to listen to like no genre music, like the Boredoms and Cornelius, and a lot of those kind of Japanese artists who were breaking into the international scene. And I received a lot of like, you know, kind of like new inspiration from those artists, just what they were doing, and that people abroad were really, really feeling that. And that kind of started my interest in music in general. And I was just more interested in finding out about new genres and things like that. And around that time, I was going to like a lot of events, and I met someone called Woodman. And actually, he's a producer, not to be confused with Foodman, Shokuhin Matsuri, who actually kind of, the name Foodman is kind of inspired by Woodman, who was making a lot.
Interesting.
Who was making a lot of electronic tracks. But a little bit of a difficult person to, you know, to work with, not really interested in like working with labels and releasing things. But I became friends with him, and through our friendship, and listening to his music, I was like, I really want to, you know, kind of show people what you're making, even though you're not too enthusiastic about releasing it yourself. And that was really the start of the label. I was really interested in kind of putting his music out there. And I was just starting my my practice as a designer, and I was studying illustration. And I thought, well, I can also do designs for jackets and make art for albums that'll do them justice. And really, those two elements, my interest in sort of, you know, like showing one of my friends really interesting music to the world, and also using my new like practice of design, kind of came together to make the label.
Well, relating back to Vaporwave, we know that New Masterpiece isn't, you know, a Vaporwave label, but you have a couple releases. I know you've got one by Toyohiro Kuman. Please correct me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But yeah, I was just wondering when you first encountered. Yes. I was wondering when you first encountered Vaporwave, you know, what your relationship with it is, and why you were first drawn to it.
まあ、まずそのニューマスターピース自体が、まあ、そのベーパーウェーブレーブルではないっていうことは、まあ、ご存知ですが、まあ、中にはそのベーパーウェーブ的な作品がちょっとあったりして、特に東洋、平久民という方のリリースなんですが、まあ、そもそもそのベーパー、ありますね。tape, sweet. そもそもそのベーパーウェーブにどうやって出会いましたのか、そして、ベーパーウェーブまあ、を聞いて、その何を、そのまあ、インスピレーションを受けたのかとか、どんな印象を受けたのか、っていうについてに関して、どうでしょうか。
最初に言うと、豊平区民は全然知り合いじゃなかったんですね。はい、北海道に住んでるんで、直接会うこともなかったんだけど、レーベルメインで、うちのレーベルから、出してるAKTR。アクターという男がいて、で彼がいろいろ、まあ僕レーベルとしては無計画で出してるんで、なんかもう少しちゃんとなんつうのかな、 ちゃんともう少し時流に乗っかったリリースをしましょうよと。で、どんな人がいるんだいという。まあ彼、カセットも作ってたんで、じゃあ、日本でペーパーウェブ作ってる人がいますって言われて、で、大丈夫なのかと心配してたんですけど、そしたら割と話題になってね、なんか不思議な感じなんですけど。
ほうほうほう。いいですね。
そうなんですよ。で、ペーパーウェブ自体は、大体日本に、ちゃんとその、日本のネット雑誌の記事で出たのは2012年なんです。2012年の秋ぐらいじゃないかな。どうだっけな。で、なんか他にシーパンクとか、ウィッチハウスか。なんかいろんなジャンルがバーッと出てきて、日本でも日本独自のゴルジェってジャンルが出てきたりとか、なんかとにかくいろんなわけのわかんないそういうジャンルがいっぱいネット上に出てきたぞっていう時期の、その中の一つがペーパーウェブって意識がある。で、やっぱり周りクラブの人たちばっかりだったから、ペーパーウェブに対して、まあ流行りの一ジャンルでしょみたいな感じになって、みんな見向きもしなかったんですね、最初。だから、割とそんなもんなのかなって僕も思ってしまって、で、やっぱり、東平区民さんとかをアクターから紹介されてから、まあなんかいろいろいるらしいぞと。で、自分がショックを受けたのは、ベクトロイドの変名の、フジグリッド TV。
フジグリッド？
フジグリッド TV。それ、日本のコマーシャルを遅くしてコラージュしてるだけの内容なんですけど、それが、やっぱり日本でそういうのやってる人はいるんですけど、海外でやってる人っていうのが、なんかアメリカの人がそれをやるのかっていうのが、結構ショックで、しかも、まあ、おそらく YouTube の CM 音源から、こう、割と勝手に、こう、ぶっこ抜いて、なんか遅くしてるだけっていうのが、
なるほどね。
結構カルチャーショックで、それで注目するようになりましたね。
ほう。面白い。Okay, this is really interesting. Could I just listen to him talk and just not translate? Or okay. All right. So Kevin, you asked about Toyo Hirakumin, but I didn't know this guy at all. Like, we hadn't met or anything. It wasn't like he was someone who was making music in my world at that time.
Sure.
He lived in Hokkaido, and but at that time, a friend of mine who I met, who releases music under the name Actor, AKTR, we met and sort of, he was working with the label a bit. And at that time, I really had no plan for the label. There was no like concept or like aesthetic or anything like that. But he kind of suggested like maybe we should just do a little bit more. We should have a direction. We should have a certain framework that the label's going to working in. And at that time, like Vaporwave really just didn't like exist in Japan. But I think it was in 2012, in the fall, there was a magazine published that had kind of a special about Vaporwave, like a music magazine. And I read it and was kind of interested in that. But at that time, actually, there was all these genres like popping up in Japan, like sea punk and beach house, and this Japanese genre called gorget. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I've never heard of it before. But so a lot of people in the club scene, in the electronic music scene, they kind of listened to Vaporwave, and they were just like, oh, okay, yeah, it's one more genre among a bunch of new fatty things. But when I heard it, I just, the first time I kind of felt the same way. But then at some point, I listened to the Vectroid album, the Fujikuri TV, and the way that was kind of put together, that really kind of in a lot of ways, it just really kind of shocked me and stimulated my interest in the genre. There was people kind of doing, slowing down like TV commercials and things like that in Japan, but like to see it coming from abroad, from like the States, that was kind of quite shocking because like people are listening to this in other countries and they were interested enough to do like manipulations of it for like musical purposes. It just at that time it was a huge culture shock. Like, oh, people are doing this. And so like in that, like within that sort of, like my interest growing in that, experiencing those things, and through the introduction through Actor to Toyo Hirakumin, it's basically how the label sort of really got interested in Vaporwave itself. Yeah.
Amazing.
Pretty good answer.
Yeah,
Really
that's
cool.
awesome.
答えがマジでいい。
ありがとうございます。Thank you.
I'm running out of paper. 紙がなくなってるわ。Okay.
Well, continuing on the note of Vaporwave a little bit, can you talk a little bit about the events you helped organize for the Neo Gaia Phantasy Tour? Maybe what the experience was like for you helping book foreign artists for one of the first Vaporwave shows in Japan?
そのベーパーウェーブ関連で聞きますが、ネオガイアのツアーかなり貢献していただいたんですけど、いろいろと手伝っていただきましたけど、そもそもそのネオガイアにどういうきっかけで関わることになって、そしてその海外から来るアーティストをブッキングするという体験についてちょっと教えてください。
友達とちっちゃなイベントばっかりやってて、はっきり言うと、みんな今話してるみんなみたいな海外の人たちを日本に入れるっていうことを全くしたことがなかったんです。で、なんかドイツじゃねえ、ごめんなさい、今なし。シーケターっていう男が京都にいて、
どういうことか。
シーケタさん。京都に住んでるんですけど、で最初のネオガイアファンタジーは、彼から誘われたんですね。で、彼他に多分東京の知り合いがそんなに加藤正川ぐらいしかいなかったのかな。わかんないんです。そこら辺わかんないんですけど、やっぱりその頃にはもうこれね、ベーパーウェーブエッセンシャルガイドを
This is the Vaporwave Essential Guide right here.
作っていたので、ベーパーウェーブにをちょっと触ってるレーベルで、割と東京でイベントをやってくれるレーベルを彼は探してたんだと思うんですね。で、その中で、白羽の矢がこちらに当たったという感じですね。
なるほど。
そうです。
はい、じゃあとりあえずその部
そうですね。
分ちょっと訳していきます。
はい。
So the way I got in contact with the Neo Gaia tour was quite a roundabout way, because at that point I hadn't really been doing any like large scale events or like tours for foreign artists. Basically, we would with our friends we would do little events. It was basically just like this, like you'd get together with your friends and play music, and a few people would show up. So there was really the idea of like actually inviting artists from abroad was quite foreign to us. And but I made a friend in Kyoto. His name is Shiketa, and like after meeting him, he invited me to the Neo Gaia Phantasy show, and I think he was just he didn't have a lot of friends in Tokyo except for maybe the Kato Massacre organizer, and yeah, and basically he was kind of looking for more like labels that would sort of help and put on Vaporwave events. So yeah, basically kind of through meeting him and getting sort of pushed forward into being interested in like actual live vaporwave in Japan. That's how I got involved in the first place. はい、そしてまあそう関わるようになって、そしてまあその後にもし何かあれば。
まあその後言おうと思ってたのは、まあなんだろうな、何から何まで本当になんつうのかな、本当にやったことがなかったので新鮮だし、まあ大きな箱をどこにするかみたいなのも結構2ヶ月前にいきなり誘われたから、なんかほとんど埋まってたりとかして、ライブハウスとかが。それが結構大変だったし楽しかったっていうありましたね。まあ、そのぐらいなんですけど。
はい。So after we had sort of got interested in actually working with the Neo Gaia tour, the planning part, like everything was new. It was all just
legend.
It was, you know, we'd never done anything even close to this. So like first, where were we gonna do the shows? What venues would be interested in this kind of music? And so basically 2 months before the tour actually started, I had already started kind of like hunting for good venues to do things in. But all the places I called were all full, were all booked. And so just like finding a good place that still had an opening was really tough. And that experience was extremely difficult, but in retrospect is very fun and valuable for me because of how successful it was.
We appreciate all your
thank you so
efforts 100%. Like,
大変感謝しています。
ありがとうございます。こちらこそ本当に。
I thank you guys for coming and playing and bringing your music to Japan.
I think next tour will be easier. We'll have more time to plan.
多分次回のツアーはもうちょっと余裕があってちょっと前もって言えることができると思うので、もうちょっと楽かもしれないと思います。
We promise.
今年は本当に残念でしたね。
So unfortunately this year we couldn't do anything, so that's a real bummer.
Yeah, you held up that Vaporwave Essentials guidebook, which you created. That in the new Vaporwave Essentials, like the Archives 2009 to 2019 book. Do you feel like the popularity of Vaporwave is something that's steadily growing in Japan and around the world? I mean, to your knowledge?
まあさっき今Vaporwave の本まあさっき1冊目と2冊目を挙げてくれましたけど、日本に住んでる感じでそもそもVaporwaveが世界中にそれとも日本の中でもなんかだんだん人気になってる気がしますか？
どうだろうな。確かにペーパーウェーブっぽいなってグラフィックは格段に増えた気がします。ただなんかあとディスクユニオンというレコードショップがあるんですけど、この本を出したとこがそこなんですね。出させてもらってるところが。だからそれもあって割とこのディスクユニオンがそれでこそローカルビジョンズの音源もそうだし、結構割とペーパーウェーブ、海外の音源レコードを輸入することに割と躍起になっているとは思いますが、人気があるかっていうとやっぱりネット上なのでこれがすごい売れたってすごく売れてるってわけでもないので、少しずつ浸透してるのかなとは思いますね。なんかすごい爆発的にドカーってことわけではないです。なんか少しずつ何か他の音楽の血肉になってたりというのはあるかもしれない。はい。
I think it's a difficult thing to gauge, and I'm not really sure if Vaporwave is, at least in Japan, like taking off in the sense that it had in, like the early, 2010s abroad. And I think, you know, it's definitely more people are listening to it than before, but it's quite a slow progress. I think one of the main factors in the popularity of it is like Disc Union, a record store here in Japan. And in fact, they are the record store that published our books on Vaporwave. And they've been quite essential for actually like importing Vaporwave music from abroad and providing that to Japanese customers. And you know, as well as like, for example, stocking music from like local visions and you know, Vaporwave labels within the country. So I think they've been quite important for the actual presence of the genre in Japan. But I think in a more general sense, like, fundamentally Vaporwave is a very internet phenomenon. So like feeling the popularity of it is quite difficult. And it's not as if the Vaporwave books that we published are like, you know, are all sold out now. I mean, it's selling all right, but it's not, you know, it's not as if they were sold out the first day like another genre's books might be. So the interest in Vaporwave, while it's definitely increasing steadily, it's not an explosion.
Sure.
Got it.
So I wanted to talk a little bit more about the live shows that New Masterpiece puts on in Japan. At the conclusion of the Neo Gaia tour last year, I was super lucky to get to play one more show after everyone left in Shinjuku at B-Wave. And I got the sense that that was just one in a series of live shows that your label had put on. So I was just curious about what you sort of do outside of Vaporwave and this series of shows at B-Wave.
まあ、そのライブ、とか、まあ、そのコンサートについてちょっと聞きしたいんですけど、
はい、
まあ、ジェームズはそのネオガイアの後に、新宿で、まあ、もう一つの、まあライブができたんですが、まあ、そもそも普段はまあ、私たちがいない時にどういうイベントを、まあ、やったりどういうところでやったりとか、まあ、そもそもそのライブシーンに関してちょっと、教えていただけたら、幸いです。
ライブシーンねなんだろう、まあだからまあそうですね、アメリカがどうなのか、やっぱりアメリカでも割となんでしょうね、例えばニューヨークとロストでも多分様子違うからまた違ってくると思うんですけど、まあ東京、まあ少なくともまあステアカさんの住んでる出雲とかよりは、まあちゃんと音楽の音楽、いろんなジャンルの音楽の人たちがまあ集まって、なんかそれぞれ別々のシーンがちゃんとあるにはっていうか、まあありますね。それはありますね。ただなんだろうな、総括してだとあんまちょっと言いづらい。なんかまた今年になってコロナでほとんどなかなかイベントができなくなっちゃってるからまた違うんですけど、なんだろう
まあなかなかね、そのまあ、総括的な活動があるわけでもなく、まあポツポツと
まあロックフェスが何度かいくつかあって、その中で、例えばテクノの人たちが出たりとか、それに出たりとか、まあそういうのがちょくちょくありつつ、まあ毎週やっぱり、まあコロナの状態でもやっぱり今の状態でも毎週末になると必ずなんかみんな頑張ってちょこちょこと小さな箱ではやってますね。やっぱりでも危機的な状況はあると思いますね。
はいはいはい。了解です。はい。
ちょっとさ、これちゃんと説明できてるのか全然わからないっていう。
まとめます。So, like as far as like the live scene that we're involved in, it's tough to even like talk about it like a scene, as if it was some like constantly vibrant, always producing sort of similar content kind of phenomenon. I'm not sure how things. I imagine like in the States, for example, like between New York and LA, there's quite a different vibe that happens in whatever music scene that is going on. So I can't really speak for like Osaka or other parts of Japan, but at least like for example in Tokyo, we've definitely got more of a scene than, for example, the scene that Steaka is enjoying in Izumo. So, a little bit more vibrant. So you've got like people performing in multiple genres and all kind of doing shows. But there's not a sense that it's like a cohesive like whole. The idea that there is a scene that has some kind of structure might be saying a little too much. But at the same time, there's events here, there's events there, and like we will like be involved in, like, for example, if there's rock festivals happening, there'll be like we'll send like a techno artist or like experimental artists to these things. So there's sort of inroads into different events within the region. And but yeah, like our mainstay is kind of like little sort of smaller live shows in small in small little clubs. And that's really what was kind of before Corona, but now it's become a lot more difficult, obviously because of the situation. And but on the weekends, people are still trying to do regular events in like on small scales. And but even though you see that activity, it does feel that there is quite a danger to the scene itself. That if people aren't vigilant, by next year, things might, clubs might close, people might lose interest. So we do feel that kind of danger in whatever music scene is actually happening in Tokyo.
Well, going back a couple questions, we know that you're an excellent manga illustrator, and I'm going to turn my background off here. I've got the new masterpiece, zine number 2, the imaginary dinosaur landscape, and it's just beautiful. It's got all your amazing illustrations. So yeah, there's a really, really cool visual element to the label. Can you elaborate a little bit on your history with illustration?
Oh, there's a cassette version? I've never seen that.
Wow.
I want that.
I didn't know that existed.
That's the cassette version.
Sold out.
Wow.
Sold out.
Well, then
Sold out.
Nice.
No, it's totally sold out. No more copies, my
Wow.
friends. じゃあ、その漫画を描いてることは、承知していますが、本当にもう幻想的なすごい面白い絵を、その漫画の中でも、描いたりしてるんですけど、そしてニューマスターピースもかなり独特で洗練された、ビジュアル要素もあるので、そういう背景についても、そのデザインのバックグラウンドとか、ちょっと、教えてください。
デザインのバックグラウンド、やっぱり一番最初の質問に近いんですけど、最初やっぱり日本って漫画とかゲームとかやっぱ強いね、結構もともと自分のなんつうのかな、物心ついた頃から割とそういう漫画とかアニメとかゲームとかは手元にあって、でそれで一応テレビでアニメ見たりとか漫画読んだりとかはしててっていう感じなんですけど、その後に先ほど言ったように、90年代のテクノ文化、が日本にドーッと来るんですね。でその時にデザイナーズリパブリックとかトマトとかそういったやっぱりそのテクノをベースにしたデザイナーの人たちがすごく話題になるんですね。 で、日本でもそれに影響を受けた人たちが、そのアニメを、アニメとかのデザインを取り入れたアパレルブランドを始めたりとか、そういった活動があって、まあ今だとそのユニクロとかで、アニメの T シャツってよく作られてるんですけど、本当に僕の20年ぐらい前はもうそういうのが90年代の半ばはそういうのが全然なかったんで、もう完全にオタクっていうのはダサいものだったんですよ。だからちゃんとなんてクールなんだって思って、それに影響を受けて少しずつデザインの方を始めつつもっていう感じで、それでまあ今いろいろやって今に至りますね。
はい、なるほど。はい。So I think my background in design can probably be quite easily traced back to the cultural milieu in which I grew up. So like manga culture and games in Japan, you know, when I was growing up in the 80s were just huge. So like from as far back as I can remember, I was reading manga. So it was just, you know, part of my everyday experience with culture. And then, you know, watching animation on television just really, you know, kind of formed my aesthetic sensibilities. And then in the 90s, you know, I was interested in techno music, and kind of through that interest in music, my interest in 90s techno music, I became like aware of a lot of designers like Designer Republic that kind of became quite popular in Japan with these new kind of futuristic, you know, ways of designing clothes and spaces. And that had a big influence on a lot of designers within Japan. And you can kind of look at the style from like into the 2000s until now as being quite influenced by that kind of futuristically inspired vibe. And like, for example, now you can look at Uniqlo that has like anime shirts and manga shirts, and that's become the standard. Like it's kind of cool now. But
I just bought an Evangelion
90s,
shirt from Uniqlo.
Yeah. もう Uniqlo にもそのエヴァンゲリアンのシャツとかもね、ありますし。But yeah, like in the 90s, there was nothing like that. Like being a geek and interested in anime was just negative. Like there was it wasn't cool to be, you know, otaku. It was just a bad thing. And it's only since like the design culture and the aesthetic changed that, you know, wearing a backpack and glasses and like reading manga and being interested in those things became interested, you know, kind of had a resurgence as something that was cool and interesting. And so basically through that, you know, manga, anime and like electronic music culture, my design sort of interests kind of bloomed through those kinds of aesthetics.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Very cool.
I'd say it's kind of similar here in the States in regards to nerd culture becoming mainstream. You know, within the last 10 years or so, it seems like. I think that has a lot to do with just internet culture in general.
In America, I feel that Final Fantasy VII was the turning point. When Final Fantasy VII came out, suddenly jocks like wanted PlayStations, and even though it was like materia and, you know, Ifrit and all that, like it was suddenly like it was just cool because Cloud is undeniably a cool guy, you know?
まあやっぱりアメリカの方でも結構そういう、なんだろうね、そのオタク文化がダサいからかっこいいにまあ、その変身していく過程もあったし、
はい、
なんだろうね、その多分主には多分ファイナルファンタジーの7が出た頃にはそれが多分大きな大きな影響を与えたと思うんですね。それまでは例えばスポーツマンとかそういうマッチョな人たちはもう絶対その漫画とかコミックスとかゲームとかそんなもんやらへんのに、 もうそのプレイステーションがもうファイナルファンタジーを出した時にめちゃめちゃみんなやりだして、急になんかマーナとかイフリットとかそういう呪文とかということが多分そのオタク文化がかっこいいようになったきっかけだったんですね。
日本だと多分 FF7 も確かに話題にはなってたんですけど、エヴァンゲリオンの影響が多分強かったと思います。
So in Japan, definitely Final Fantasy VII had a huge influence on the popularity of like gaming culture and anime culture, and helped to popularize it a lot. But actually, what was more maybe significant was Evangelion. That show really, sort of brought in a whole new generation and a whole new population of anime and manga fans in general.
Speaking of otaku stuff, we see many figurines behind you there. And we know that you post about kaiju and stuff like that on the internet a lot. You've also illustrated a series of giant monsters and stuff in the past. Where did your interest in this genre begin, and how does it influence your work?
まあその後ろにそのフィギュアの怪獣とかいろいろありますし、そしてまあ漫画にもそのそのモンスターの漫画も書いたこともあるし、そもそもその怪獣にどうやって興味を持つようになりましたか？
先ほど手元に漫画とか手元に漫画とかゲームとかの文化があったように、怪獣もそこにあったんだけど、ちょうど僕が子供の頃は怪獣文化って廃れてたんですね。でも一応おもちゃが出だした頃で、普通リバイバル、ちょうど日本における怪獣が大流行りになった頃って1966年、5年6年なんですよ。で一回1973年ちょっといろいろずっとそれまで人気だったんだけど、1973年に、ロボットアニメが出るようになって、廃れていくんですね、怪獣が。でやっぱりテレビとかでは僕ロボットアニメとかやってるのは知ってたんだけど、ちょっと親に恐竜の本買ってきてって言ったら怪獣の本をこう出されてしまって、でそれでだんだんなんかテレビで見たことない変なチャッチーぬいぐるみのキャラクターだなって思って、それがすごくこうなんつうのかな、そっちの方が心に来たんでしょうね。でやっぱりその後ボアダムスみたいのにすごく触れるようになるのもやっぱりちょうどボアダムスのメンバーが怪獣っぽかったっていうのもあるし、わーみたいな感じでずっと吠えてるでしょ、やっぱり人たちね。それもあるし、割とその90年代の頃ってやっぱりそのリバイバルブームがまだ続いてたんで、やっぱりそれこそなんつうのかな、ラウンジものとかがまたブームになって、それをサンプリングする人たちとかが割とその渋谷系って言われるジャンルの中に出てきたりとかして、それでやっぱりずーっと割とそういう怪獣文化とそのオタク文化の中でも一番古い文化なんで、それもあって割とずーっと好きって感じですかね。
Jeez, these are good. These are good. All right, here we go. So, about kaiju, obviously, as I said in my last answer, from when I was young, I was watching a lot of anime and reading manga. But when I was growing up, when I was a child, the kaiju had kind of gone out of fashion. So kaiju, TV shows were really popular from like 1965, 66 to about like 1973, early 1970s. Kaiju, the big sort of, destroying city television shows and movies were really popular during that period. But in the 1970s, robot animation just came in, and basically Kaiju kind of just fell out of fashion. It was kind of cheesy, and like robot animation and robot, like live action shows became really popular. And so they kind of like fell out of popularity and stayed there for quite a while. When I was a kid, I asked my parents to buy me like a dinosaur book. I was interested in dinosaurs. But they gave me like a kaiju book. Real dinosaurs. And, I was like looking through it, I'm like, these lived on planet Earth? This is But basically, like, I was reading it and I was like, these are so cool. Like the design is so strange. And I was just really drawn to like that weirdness and that I had never really seen as a kid, like watching television, because it wasn't like popular at that time. And then like through interest in like the boredoms, like some of their members are kind of like kaiju, like they're always screaming and like stomping around on stage, and it's like a big tokusatsu performance. And then like also in the 90s, like people were sampling, like a lot of like electronic tracks were sampling a lot of these like kaiju sounds, like and like the Godzilla like soundtrack and things like that. So those things became kind of more mainstream. And then, as I said before, like the resurgence of like otaku culture slowly becoming kind of cool. But like kaiju is kind of like the oldest otaku culture, like the oldest geeky thing. So like after that, it was robots and like masked, heroes and things like that. But before that, like kaiju was just really like kind of classic otaku, and that too has kind of come back a little bit. But now it's kind of become a little bit more mainstream with like the movies that you see today and people's interest in animation and manga in general. So there you go.
Wow.
Awesome.
We're getting schooled.
Great
Like
answer.
this is
Yeah.
amazing. We're sharing our experiences and we're learning a lot. It's wonderful.
濃厚の答えをめちゃめちゃ働かされる。He's making me work. He's making me work for this. いい感じですね。みんな喜んで。
ありがとうございます。
いやいやいや。All right.
You invited us to create some tracks for a compilation you put together called Museum Zoo Station, which is loosely based around Ueno Zoo. It was great source material for an album. Yes. Just wondering what kind of inspired the creation of that whole idea.
ミュージアムズーステーションというコンピレーションに、参加することに、早速来れたんですけど、それがその上野動物園に基づいている感じなんですけど、本当にすごいそういう音源がめちゃめちゃそのアルバムの、レコーディングとしてはめちゃめちゃいい材料になったんですけど、そもそもそれを作るインスピレーションはそもそも何だったのか。
最初のコンピレーションがこれなんですね。
はい。
ダイナソー。
Oh, that's the first compilation, the dinosaur compilation.
恐竜の化石全身骨格を初めて見たのって多分上野にある国立科学館なんですよね。で、なるべく関連付けたかったっていうのがあって、このコンピとこのコンピで実はつながってるんですよ。自分の中では別々のようにテーマに見えるけど、で、この駅ごめんなさい今本当はこのミュージアムズーステーションっていうのは駅の名前なんですよ。上野に昔あった駅の名前で、博物館動物園駅っていうのがあって、で、それはもう、なかったんですけど、僕まだ学生時代だっ た、頃はまでギリギリであって、で、上野に学校があったんで、そこで通ってた時に、こういうなんか駅があるらしい。廃駅寸前。もうその時点でもう、明かりとかもついて真っ暗だった。
ほうほうほ
う。もう本当に真っ暗で、幽霊が出そうな、ところだったんで、そういう駅があるらしいっつって、友達と遊びに行ったんですよね、そこに。で、そういう思い出もあったし、あと、上のちょうど、その、先ほど話したウッドマン、もう亡くなってしまったんですけど、彼の実家が、まあ、近くなんですね。
ウッドマンが亡くなったんですか？
もう3年ぐらい前に亡くなってるんですよ。
ああ、そうなんですね。はいはいはい。
で、彼の実家が上野なんで、まあ、そこら辺のメモリアル的なのも、実は含んでいる。
ほうほうほうほう。
まあちょっと、なんか、まあ他の人から見たら、まあちょっと分かりづらいと思うんですけど、ここにある後ろのクジラは博物館の横に置いてあるクジラ、ここに置いてある実物大のクジラの像だし、その先ほど言った、その駅の外装だけ残ってるんですね。その博物館動物園に行って。で、この上のなんか帽子みたいなのが、その駅の外装なんです、実は。
あ、そうなんですね。はいはいはい。
で、なんで、まあ、肌から見ると、他の人から見ると、なんかすごく取り留めのないように見えるんですけど、自分の中にすごく意味合いを持って作っているっていうですね。
はい。
はい。
Holy moly.
難しい。
Alright, let's do it.
頑張って。
頑張ります。まあ、まずの最初のコンピレーションが、その恐竜の化石、の、まあ、コンピレーション。Oh, why am I speaking Japanese? 日本語で喋ってたわ。I'm so sorry, guys.
難しくて申し訳ない。
No.
That's going in. That's staying in.
No.
Just like you not knowing I'll try living like this. That has to be in there.
日本語で喋ってしまった。何してんの？ Okay.
There are people out there that are Josh fans, you know, that you're their favorite thing about this show. So things like that are important to keep in.
Okay, one more time. もう一回ちょっとやります。
はい。
Okay, so the first compilation we did was, based on like dinosaur fossils. From the first fossils that I saw at Ueno Zoo. And so when we made the second compilation, we kind of wanted to have like a connection, even one that only we really understood. And so the second compilation became Museum Zoo Station. And it written like that, it kind of sounds like Museum Zoo Station. But actually, Museum Zoo is the name of the station. So it's Museum Zoo Station, like Central Station. So that's actually the name of the station. And this was a station in Ueno that is actually now gone. It's now out of service. And when I was a student, it was like basically like the last few years of its existence. But when I kind of finally heard about it, it was already gone, and my friends would be like, "Oh man, there's this station in Ueno called Museum Zoo Station, and it's kind of like a haunted, it's like a derelict ruined station." And we'd go there with my friends, and there was nothing around it. It was just pitch black, and it was kind of this way to like test our courage and things like that. And so that was kind of like the connection directly with the first compilation, which was from fossils that I had seen at the Ueno Zoo. And actually, Woodman, who I mentioned was pretty integral in starting the label, he actually passed away 3 years ago, and he's from Ueno, So the album, having it as that the title as being like a place name in Ueno was kind of a memorial, a way for us to pay our respects to him, and So and if you look at the cover of the museum zoo station, you can see a whale there, and that whale on the top left corner, the big shape there, that's actually a mock whale that exists at the Ueno Museum. So if you've been there, you'll know it. But what's even crazier, on top of the whale, you kind of see like a hat, right? It looks like a little weird, circular hat thing. But actually, that is the shape of the old station that is no longer functioning on top of the whale. And so all of these details for the casual listener or the casual viewer, it's kind of just a cool design. It looks really interesting. But for me, it has a quite deep and significant meaning, like showing respect for someone who, brought me to this point in my musical interests and was really integral into starting the label that we were able to release the compilation on.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Amazing, yeah.
ありがとう。
Yeah.
Well, I know that all four of us we're very much of the same mind when we make art or we design something. It's never sort of arbitrary, and I know for a fact that all of our music has all kinds of references to things that only we would understand. But I think that's what gives our depth.
やっぱり私たちも音楽を作るときにはそういうその一般のリスナーからしたらあまり意味のないような、ただの飾りのようなこともいろいろあると思うんですけど、やっぱり自分たちが作るときにそれなりのその意味のあるような、様子とか経験とか思い出、をやっぱり使って作るときは一番いい音源が作るという、ことはあるのですごくわかります。All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to speak real quick about Damune, which we had the honor of performing on at the first Neo Gaia Phantasy tour. So for those that don't know, it's a very popular. It's basically like Japanese boiler room, more or less. It's an extremely popular platform where a lot of different artists sort of show what they got. And the first Neo Gaia Phantasy tour, we had a chance not only to perform there, but there was also like a paper theater puppet show and intense explanation about Vaporwave with the little bus talking to each other. It was really, really cool. So what was that experience like for you to put all that together, and do you feel that sort of helped Vaporwave reach a broader audience in Japan?
ドミューについてちょっと、お伺いしたいんですけど、やっぱり私たちからしたら結構、日本のそのボイラールーム的な結構重要なイベントをする、スペースなんですが、私たちがその、ネオガイアファンタジーをやった時に、本当にもういろんな素敵なライブもあったし、そのなんだろうね、もうパペットショーみたいなその人形ののもあったみたいなんですね。
はい、
まずその
やりましたね。
そのドミューンでそのベーパーウェーブのイベントをするっていうことは、例えばそのもっと一般的なベーパーウェーブ聞いたことのないような、人たちにその音楽を紹介するきっかけに、になったのか、それともなんだろうね、そのイベント自体はどういうそのなんだろうね、位置づけにあるのかについてちょっと、お伺いしたいんです。
そうですね。そうですね。基本やっぱりなんかね、ネオガイアファンタジー、最初のネオガイアファンタジーはなんだろうな。いろいろね、イベント、なんか、ごめんなさいね。
大丈夫。
日本で、ペーパーウェーブの人たちがライブをやるっていうのも、これが初だったはずなんですよ。で、フューチャーファンクの人は、もちろん、ナイトテンポを筆頭に来てたんだけど、日本に来てたけど、 どういう風に演奏するのか、なんか見当もつかなかったんで、そう。なんかやっぱみんなわからなかったっていうか、でその中でこうやっぱりベーパーウェーブってなんだかんだ言ってそうですね。本当に地方の人たちもいるんです。地方の人たちでペーパーウェーブの熱烈ファンもいるんですね。なんか日本でもすごい四国のどこっつったっけな。ライターで高松の人とかもいますけど、もうすごいこう全然クラブもないだろうってとこにでやってる人とかデバウブすごい好きっていう人とかもいるんで、やっぱりそういう人たちはなかなかこう東京とか大阪でやってもなんつうのかなかなか届かないっていうのはあったんで、やっぱりドミューンでやる意義はもう全然あると思うんですよね。すごくね。
はい。Okay. English. the Neo Gaia Phantasy event was probably the first event that Vaporwave had ever been performed in Japan. So really the first time the Japanese listeners could listen to it live in like a concentrated way. Before that point, like there'd been like future funk events and like future funk artists had come from abroad to perform. But Vaporwave, it was really the first time, and the people who were involved in the event and who were like thinking about what kind of show it was going to become really had no idea. Like, how are they going to perform? What are the shows going to be like? There was really no sort of precedent for it. So it was quite pioneering in that sense, and it, having the event at Damyun has quite a lot of significance insofar as and as I mentioned before, the interest in Vaporwave in Japan is largely like an internet phenomenon. So you have people who live, of course, in the big cities, but a lot of people who live in the total countryside. So there's one fan who buys from us who lives in like Shikoku, like southwest of Osaka, in this place called Takamatsu, where there's probably no clubs, there's probably nothing, like no electronic music happening, like totally in the sticks. But for those people to come out to Osaka or to Tokyo for like a small show, like in a little dinky club, is probably not that feasible. They probably wouldn't make the trip. But having it at Damyun, which has such a stature as a club for showcasing like big artists and DJs and electronic artists, that was really important for actually getting a lot of people to come out to Tokyo for a show that they might have not otherwise come out to see. So in that sense, doing it at Damyun had a lot of meaning for us.
That's
まあ、
great.
はい。
ジョシュアに説明すると、パペットショーっていうのは、トークのパートでペーパーウェーバー何たるかっていうのを説明するパートがあるんですね。トークパートを、一緒にやってた、さっき言ったアクターってやつが、人形劇でやりましょうって言い出して、何言うのこの人っていう。で、いろいろちょっとやれる人がいたんで、それでお願いしたんですよ。トークパート30分ずっとパペットで立って。
やばい。So Hitachi was explaining the puppet show, which I didn't really understand because I didn't see it. But it was actually like a puppet show to explain Vaporwave.
Mm-hmm.
For 30 minutes, it was like a talk session, that you normally have with just people with mics in their hands. But actor, the AKTR artist, he was like, let's do it in an interesting way. Let's do a puppet show. And there was actually someone who we knew who could put on a puppet show as a way to to tell people what the kind of music they were about to listen to was. And so that was part of that.
Well, on behalf of all our viewers and the Neo Gaia crew, thank you so much for joining us for these questions. It's been amazing catching up once again. We all really miss you and cannot wait to come back. Before we leave, are there any exciting new releases coming out, a new masterpiece, or any artists we should be on the lookout for? And also, I know a lot of my American friends really want you and Disc Union to make more of that Vaporwave archive 2009 to 2019. Is there a repress in the works?
まあまずもうこれで最後になるんですけど、本当にそのインタビューに参加していただいて本当に感謝しています。また、ここでまあ実際に会うことが一番いいんですけど、ここで会うのもすごく嬉しいので、
はい。
大変嬉しいですね。まずそのニューマスターピースのこれからのもしそのリリースがあるのであれば、もしその宣伝と、あとはちょっとピックアップ、もしそのピックアップするべきアーティストとかチェックするべきアーティストとかもしあったら、それも、彼らも紹介してほしいです。そして最後にベイパーウェーブの本、のもう再出版、もし予定をする、予定があるのであれば、それも教えてほしい。その英語版とかそういうこともちょっと期待しているので。
なるほど。
はい。お願いします。
多分なんかやっぱディスクユニオンに聞かないとわかんないんで、そこら辺の英語版はどうすればそうなるのかっていうのは。
訳しますよ。訳しますよ。
訳しますか。
やりますよ。
ペーパーウェブガイドについては、ひとまずディスクユニオンと相談しないといけないのとっていう感じですね。
はい、了解です。
はい、で、リリース予定、コロナでこうなっちゃったんで、カセットが日本から売れないんですね、海外に。だから今、ほとんど止まっちゃってて。
大変ですね。
少しずつ、データのリリースは少しずつ、ちょこちょことやってますね。一応それは、それを、うちのバンドキャンプでチェックしていただきたいのと、あとなんだろうな、最近、昨日ちょっとショックを受けたものがあって、後でリンク、それ送ってみてもらった方がいいかな、それは。
でももしここでちょっとそのアーティストの説明ができたらそれも紹介できます。
やめときましょう。
OK、了解です。
それはもうなんか
じゃあ個人でやりますか。
はい、そうですね。ちょっとこれは僕日本でなんつうのかな、日本人がペーパーウェブ作るとやっぱり海外の人が作るよりもちょっとまたなんつうのかな、視点がいびつになっちゃうんですけど、と思ってるんですけど、ちょっとここに来て、日本人から見ても変に見えるものが出てきたなっていう印象があって、それをみんなに見てほしいのが。
はい。じゃあこれはどうしましょう？
これは入れなくていいです。はい。
わかりました。はい。
はい。
Okay, so as far as like represses of the book and an English version, I'd have to talk to Disc Union about that and see what the possibilities are. So I can't really say anything about the future of that. But as far as like new releases are concerned, because of Corona, it's become very difficult to ship tapes. In fact, you can't ship anything to the States and a few other countries. So we haven't really been working on any new cassette releases at the moment. But we are planning on releasing some digital-only releases. So yeah, that's basically the plan for the future. But yeah, please check out our Bandcamp page because that should have regular updates and you'll be able to see what we're up to there.
Yes. The theme song for the virtual desktop experience that plays every episode is Mark's song from the Ueno Museum Sioux Station
Park Gate.
Yeah, the Park Gate. So New Masterpiece is an integral part of this show.
Absolutely.
この番組のテーマソングは、マークが作った、そのコンピレーションのための曲なので、本当にそう。
ゲート。パークゲート。
はい。そう。まさに。それがもうこの番組のテーマソングになってるので、 ニューマスターピースがこの番組にも深く関わってて貢献してることは間違いありません。
光栄です。
I'm very honored.
Well, thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Josh, as always. We just, and we always say this to our Japanese guests, we just cannot wait to see you again. We're just dying here. We just want to come back.
Yeah.
And we miss you.
We're trapped.
Yes.
ぜひぜひ。
はい、please, you're welcome anytime.
All right. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
ありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
では、はい。